Hello guys, and before the video starts, I just want to remind you about the giveaway that I'm doing right now for Resident Evil or 2 or Kingdom Hearts 3. Just check the link here or there and you can see more about what's going on, okay? Thanks. Hi everybody, and welcome to the Midnight channel, and I'm pretty sure this time is no secret that I am a huge Persona fan. Obviously, if you click the video, you might be a Persona fan as well. With the success of Persona 5, I've seen a lot of people talk about whether they should play other Persona games, so I wanted to do this more serious here, where I talk about every single Persona game, from Persona 1 to the Persona 4 games, and maybe the spin-offs as well. So the question here is, should you play Persona? Number 1. So this will be Revelations Persona. So let's just start a little bit with a little bit of background here as far as how Persona came about, and then maybe just move on into whether you should base the story, characters, and pretty much the value of this game as a whole. So let's just start with a little bit of background on the story of Persona. So Revelations Persona came out as a spin-off for the Shin Megami Tensei. Now, Shin Megami Tensei is a really big series here, and over the years it's been expanding in different mediums of gameplay. Persona in particularly, for example, it comes out more of a slice of life Persona, just a little bit more relaxed in a sense, more focusing on young adults and a lot of different stuff here. So for example, the Persona series in general borrow a lot of the elements from psychological aspects with Carl Jung, which focuses on the aspect of personas and shadows, and that collective unconsciousness, which basically establishes how persona works within a self. So this series in particularly really took off and really brought a lot of I'll say fame to the whole series as a whole, Shin Megami Tensei, because it was different and it brought a little bit of a different mechanics and everything. So let's just talk about the story for now, and then I'll come back into a little bit more of the background here, because I do like this game, but I just think it's a little bit different from the other ones. So it's noting to say here that Persona 1 and 2 were directed with a different person. So just keep that in mind as we move forward. The director here is Koji Okada, which is a different director for Persona 3, 4, and 5, which is Katsura Hashiro. So just keep in mind that as you're playing this game, that because it has a different writer and a different director, the game is going to feel very different. It still has some of the main aspects, some of the core aspects from the other Persona games. So as you move forward with this game, keep that in mind as well. So in this story here, because this is the first Persona game, it borrows more aspects from the Shin Megami Tensei. One of the biggest things in this game, for example, is that it's a first person. While you're moving forward, you're moving in first person. So just keep that in mind as you're going to the dungeon here. It switches between third and first person as well. So the story is very simple. It starts with this group of students that are trying to do a kind of like a summoning ritual of sorts. You know, when you're in school, you hear these legends and this stuff that's going on. You know, like I remember when I was in high school, for example, there used to be something about like if you run around campus, you'll find, or you'll hear somebody screaming in a specific area or whatever, you know, at a specific time or whatever. And it's like this thing, like the legend that everybody talks about and everything. So in this school, for example, they have one about Persona. Basically, they walk around in a specific space, and each one of them has to come and say, Persona, come here, or something like that. And they do this around. Turns out that doing this particular thing, it actually ends up summoning something. It actually does bring something, and they awaken the power of Persona. So but they don't have any time to waste, because as they're doing this, it turns out that demons have invaded their hometown, where they live and everything. So it's now up to them to kind of just start fighting these demons that are coming out and everything. with the help of some supernatural beings, they get the power of persona, and they're able to kind of just um, fuse other personas and gain the power of the demons and use personas. So that's kind of the basic plot of the game. I don't really want to get into details about it because I feel like this is one of those games where it will be better if I kind of just give you a rough of how the game works, and then you kind of just decide how you want to go about it. So let's draw some comparisons and some differences, and I'm going to talk about the gameplay as well here in this as well. One of the things that is very important to think about is that this game doesn't have any of the social aspects that they do in the Persona 3, 4, and 5, such as social links. In this aspect, these games have more of a traditional way of exposing characters and kind of just building up the characters throughout the story. So you're not going to have specific alone time with each one of the characters and everything, but throughout the story, how it goes, you get to know the students and everything. Another big difference is in this game, you're not a new person coming to town or whatever. The main character already has a group of friends. They already know each other, so you kind of just jump into the role of the main character, but they already know you. They already know the person you are and everything. So that I feel like that also brings a different layer. You don't have that thing that the other Persona games have, where they kind of just have to put together and kind of like grow as a group. These people already know each other. They're already friends with each other and everything. So I feel like this also brings a different layer, and it feels differently there. Obviously, the biggest aspect here as far as the gameplay is still very reminiscent of how it plays in the other games. It's exactly, I would say, almost the same. It's still turn-based. You still, for example, talk to other demons to gain their power. You still fight them in a turn-based style RPG. So that's still very much the same. Some of the differences I will say in this will be the camera is upwards, so you see the entire gameplay. It's not how you see it in the other ones, where you're kind of like a third person perspective and you see the shadow that you're fighting. In this case, you're kind of like in a camera angle where the whole room is there, and you kind of just see everybody there, and you fight the different stuff. But I will say these games are a little bit harder overall. I wouldn't say too hard, but they're a little bit harder than the other games. I feel like the Persona games have continuously getting a little bit easier over the years. But as far as that, the rest of the gameplay, when you're not fighting demons and everything, you are walking around town, just kind of getting to know other people, other characters and everything, and kind of to figure it out what's going on and everything. This game is fairly more linear in the aspect that the story just drives forward. So there is no scheduling or any that kind of stuff like that, and there's no side activities. Persona 3, 4, and 5 have this thing where you can do activities throughout the day besides just fighting demons. This one is just more of a compacted story where you're kind of spending most of your time just going around fighting demons and kind of trying to figure out what's going on here, because the entire town is getting invaded by demons. Now, what are demons? Because I keep mentioning demons. In Shin Megami Tensei, what we know as shadows are called demons in the rest of the other games. Demons are basically the same thing as shadows, or the same thing as personas. It's just a different word. So the wording is just different there, and they work in a different sense. You know, the persona will be more of the self, while the demons, it's just something that comes out of nowhere and kind of like starts attacking. Just as regular demons, you will think. I would say, but it's different. I feel like one of the biggest things here is the lore doesn't apply towards the Persona 3, Persona 4, or 5, where most people are just unaware of shadows and what's going on and everything. In this game, and I feel like in Persona 2 as well, people are pretty much aware that they're being invaded by something. Like something weird is going on and everything. People are actually dying from this and everything. So I feel like the level of danger is a little bit higher because everybody knows what's going on. You know, even if not everybody is able to fight these demons and everything. So yeah, as far as the main question here, if you should play this game or not, I feel like it depends on what you're looking to get out of it. I will say that the series pretty much got rebooted after Persona 3. After Persona 2. So Persona 3, 4, and 5 have more of the same universe, and then Persona 1 and 2 are kind of on their own universe, more close to the Shin Megami Tensei universe. What I mean is, some of the stuff that you learn in this game doesn't transfer over to other games. You know, like, we know the basic rules as far as how Shadow works, how Persona works, and everything. But in these two games, these things work differently. So if you're kind of looking to boof up your lore and kind of just learn more about this world that you're playing and everything, if you like Persona 2, if you like Persona 3, or you just play Persona 5 and you kind of just want to go through all the different personas, then as far as that, it's not going to really help you on learning more about the lore and everything. But they are really good stories, and I think that Persona 1 Revelations really did a lot of good stuff for the rest of the franchise. Obviously, it definitely got a sequel, and that sequel got a sequel, and so on. So obviously, it did something well. But I feel like it is not important for you to play this particular game, and you're really not missing out if you don't play it. But I do feel like you should play it because it's a good story. But if you're kind of just trying to see if you build up more of what's going on and everything within the world, and you don't definitely get that here. But yeah, thanks so much for watching this video. If you want to add more information on everything, please do comment. The gameplay that you're seeing here is from the Persona Revelations for the PSP. That's the one that I have. I never played it on the PlayStation 1, but I do hear that it's almost the same or very similar. The difference is some of the cutscenes have been reworked now with new technology and everything, and the music was completely remade by Shoji Meguro. So that music, you know, it's gonna be good because it's the same guy that makes the music for Persona 3, 4, and 5. But thanks so much for watching this video again, and I'll see you next time.